How's it going, guys? I think we are live. I am just going to refresh. Sorry, I shouted a bit there. I got a little bit too excited about the about about Facebook Live. I am loud in general, though. How's it going, Jamie? All good, mate?
Yes, mate. Solid. What's going on?
Just while we're waiting for people to jump on the live, if you're one of the guys who are watching this on a replay, because I know that a lot of people inside of the Get Seen Get Booked Facebook group do watch these lives on a replay. Just hashtag replay, and then any questions that you've got as you are going through this video, just tag me or Jamie, and we are going to get back to you. Just while I'm waiting for people to jump on, I'm just going to load up the live inside of the group just so I can track who's asking questions as we're going through. If you do have any questions, like always, please just get them in the comment section and we are going to answer them for you. But the topic of today's live is how to stop being ghosted and keep the lead alive. And this is something that we've actually talked about quite a few times on these Facebook Lives. We've talked about this inside of the Facebook groups as well. But what we want to do is we just want to give you some other ways that you can prevent being ghosted, because it is a huge problem in the wedding industry that you'll reach out to people and then you just simply do not get a reply. So that's what I want to help you guys with. We want to try and get your kind of the leads to get them on the phone or Zoom. Really, we want to get you speaking to them, because there's nothing more frustrating than you spending and putting all the effort in, the time and effort in actually acquiring leads and then not having a way of actually speaking to them. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Any questions as we're going through, get them in the comments section and we are going to answer them for you. I can see we've got quite a few people on already, which is spot on. Great.
I've got a question to kick it off.
Let's go.
Because you're the videographer, you have the wedding videography business as well. And what's the most, and anyone that's watching as well, I'd like to hear your answers too. What's the most common? So I don't want to say like reason for being ghosted, because if you're ghosted, you don't know. But like, what's the most common response that you get from someone on messages? Is it always about price, or is it something else?
What you mean when I finally get through to speaking to them, or the reason why? So when I find that when I generally do get through to them after, sometimes it can be weeks, months, like after the leads actually came through. Generally speaking, people will just apologize and they'll say something along the lines of, I've been getting your emails, I've been seeing your videos, I've seen your text messages, I've just been so busy with work and I've been caught up, or I've been planning other parts of the wedding. I get those sort of general responses first. The price issue, I find I generally get the price comment more when I speak to them first, because if I feel like the ones who never reply to us, if I get completely ghosted and none of this follow-up actually works, there's a good chance it's been on price and they've seen the packages and then they've just thought, what's the point in speaking to them, and they don't actually come back to me. The ones who I speak to straight away, once I've got a lead, if price is an issue, they'll generally tell you there and then, oh, look, it's just completely way out of me budget. And then obviously I try and build the value and everything up on the phone when I'm speaking to them and explain what it is. But sometimes people simply just don't have the budget for it. But when I've been ghosted and they come back to me, it's generally just an apology from them saying they've been too busy.
Interesting. Very interesting. If you're watching as well, what kind of it's interesting to find out what kind of conversations you have, or what their first sort of contact with you is and what it's about. Because I know a lot of people, a lot of photographers and videographers, they don't post the prices a lot, or they refrain that, for they keep the prices away from the websites and stuff like that. So I'd imagine that those would have questions and the first contact would be about price. But then those who do display prices quite a lot, like you're saying, their first contact is all about, I'm receiving your content, which means they're probably, on their website as well. So they know what your prices are. It's just interesting to see what people's first kind of touch points are.
I've spoken to quite a few people recently on leads that I've been following up with, and then I have been getting ghosted from them. But like, I had 2 people actually ring me back yesterday. That's why you would have seen inside of the Get Seen Get Booked, I posted 2 referrals inside of the group. So I posted 2 videography referrals. These were both weddings that I can't shoot. One was just based on price. I wasn't prepared to go to that budget because it was only a half day. But anyway, both of them people both said to me, like, I've been getting your emails, but they've been saying, I've been watching all of your videos on social media and they've been seeing me content. And obviously they probably don't know that it's ads that they've been seeing, but at a guess, I'd be saying that they've been seeing me Facebook ads and Instagram ads regularly. But they also mentioned that they've been reading the emails as well. So not only are they getting the follow-up sequences because I'm running Facebook ads, what's happening is they're constantly seeing my content, which keeps me in their mind for when they're ready. Like they both rang me yesterday off their own back. I didn't actually chase them up. I just so happened to get 2 phone calls randomly yesterday, and both people said, I've been seeing your videos and I've been getting your emails. So this is why it's important that the first thing as well, when people say they're getting ghosted, I'm kind of going to jump a point here, is my first thought is, are you actually being ghosted? And if you're honest with yourself, are you being ghosted, or are you just not having a process in place and doing the follow-up work that you should be? So this is always a thing. So, and I know when we done this live, like we touched on this topic on a live a few weeks ago, and there was a couple of people. One person said they didn't even follow up with any leads at all, which is, I think that's mental if you don't do that. But a couple of people said, oh, they'll try once or twice, and then that's it. They don't. So if you're only following up with a lead once or twice, in my opinion, I don't actually class that as being ghosted. I class that as you not having a process to follow up with them. Remember, and this was a question that came up in the other Facebook group yesterday, not in ours. Someone said, do you send SMS messages? And I was quite surprised. There was quite a few people who said they didn't, but the majority of people did. Again, it's a part of the workflow. So to prevent getting ghosted, you need to have an email sequence. You need to be posting regularly on social media. You need to be sending them SMSs, text, WhatsApp. I do WhatsApp because I can see if they've read it and I know if they're getting the messages or not. And you just need to have a full workflow. So let us know in the comments what your workflow is. Are you being ghosted, or are you actually just not putting the graft in? I hate saying that because that sounds quite aggressive, but you know what I mean? You don't have that process in place. We've just got a question. Yeah, or Jamie, jump in before you got I'll go to the question. What did you have?
No, go for it. Go for it. Let's jump to the question.
Are you sure? Okay. The question
Yeah.
is from Jonathan Newton. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for jumping on, mate. How you doing? So, hey, guys, thanks again for the ads help yesterday. No problem at all. Anyone else running ads, drop it in the group because we're going to help you with your ad campaigns and we're happy to review them for you. I'll post the ad later. Yeah, please get that in the group. We'll look at the creative, Jonathan, and the copy for you. Thanks also for the tip of messaging Instagram brides follow. Working really well for us. Honestly, I'm glad that you've tried that technique out because it really works. If anyone's not sure what Jonathan's talking about here, I shared into the Facebook group, the Get Seen, Get Booked Facebook group for wedding videographers and photographers. I put in a little strategy that I do where if someone follows me, I'll go and check out their profile. And then on the profile, I'll don't want to say 7 times out of 10, but it's high. They'll have a ring emoji in the bio with the date that they're getting married. And then I'll go and look for profile pictures. Sorry, I'll go and look at grid pictures to see if they've got a picture of the wedding, the engagement ring with getting married on this date. And what I do is I follow them back. If they're a private account, I request to follow. I then send them a message saying, thank you for the follow, blah, 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 blah. Go and read the message. Go and look at the post. I'll put it in the comments, but it's a really good strategy for you guys to try out.
Yeah,
Did
it
you have
sounds
something
excellent.
with Jamie?
No, yeah, it sounds excellent. It sounds it's keeping the lead warm, because I think especially if somebody is in that state and they start to follow you, that in the beginning, the purchase journey, the beginning, at least the consideration journey, which also kind of blends to this second question here that I can see in the comments. When somebody I can't see their name, but said, what is the timeline for follow-ups? How long do you leave, etc.
From Robert.
From Robert Barry. Nice to see you, mate. So I think for me, it would be a case of just getting in contact with them while they're warm. Like if somebody has followed you because they're ready to start seeing your content and they're ready to, they're starting the consideration journey. It's not about when you say following up and all that kind of stuff. It's not necessarily about hard selling. It's about providing the value that they need at that time. So that's building a relationship for when they are ready to buy.
A really good one as well, like when you're following up. I don't know if we've touched on this before, and I'm sure it sounds obvious, but all these little obvious points, like that Instagram strategy that we talked about, it's so obvious, but people don't do it. If when someone fills in like my wedding form, if it's a venue that I've shot at, I'm always like rubbing my hands because I'm like, right, great. I can now send them an example of the work at the venue. So if you're not doing that, implement that straight away because they'll look. people who are getting married love to see content from the place that they've booked, especially if you've got like spectacular shots, and it's a great it's a great way of doing it. So if you're not doing that, make sure you implement that
Such a
into
good
your follow up.
strategy. Such a crazy good strategy that.
Yeah, and what's really good as well, Jamie, on that is like when you cut up all the reels. Like I've got there's a venue in Middlesbrough that I've shot at for like 4 or 5 times now. Like it's Wynyard Hall, and it's an awesome venue. Like it's a spectacular venue. And I get quite a lot of inquiries now from, well, I say quite a lot, but I get frequent inquiries from people who are getting married at Wynyard Hall because they're seeing organic content that I'm posting, or they'll go to the website and they'll see it and they're like, oh, I've seen that you shot this video at Wynyard Hall. Do you have more content? And then it allows me to send them like little chopped up of the Instagram reels, and the little snippets that we talked about, the vertical video content, because then they can start to picture themselves at that venue on their wedding, and it's great.
Amazing, amazing.
Do we have any other questions? Would love to answer. We love answering questions on these lives. I can see we've got quite a few people on. So, any questions that you've got about being ghosted? Like, what's your frequent objections after being ghosted, and then them coming back to you? Because Jamie asked the question before, and it's a good one. Like, what are the objections? Because if you are getting frequent objections, like if we talk about price, for example, let's say you're getting ghosted, and then they do after months come back to you, and they just say, "Oh, look, you were too expensive." Then that goes down another path, Jamie, that we've talked about before, that like you need to provide more value. What was the post that you put in the other day about the Ford and the Ferrari? Because it's a good analogy. Was it
Oh
like,
yeah, it's value. So people, and it's an important distinction. Price is what you pay, value is what you get, and always remember that. So there's a really strong lesson in there. It's about underlining the value that you provide, not discussing the price that you charge. So it's about what they're going to get. That's why, and obviously not everybody is a salesperson, and it doesn't come natural to a lot of people, but salespeople focus on talking about the value. They don't focus on driving the price down and just getting the customer to buy. They focus on overcoming objections, discussing not just objections, but potential problems that are going to get in the way, like barriers or obstacles, whatever it might be. It's about overcoming them, and reducing your price is it shouldn't be your go-to, because it's a race to the bottom, and ultimately all you're doing is just carving out of your margins and your profitability, and it's absolutely not what you want to be doing. If anything, you should be figuring out how you can charge more. There's a number of different things you could do to do that. So, there's a few different hacks and stuff like that that you could always do. I know there's a one that, for example, and it's kind of, this will come per person as well. So, you could do things like, I don't know if we should go down this rabbit hole of these different examples, because it could go on for a long, long tangent. But there's a number of, basically the lesson is that focus on the value that you provide, and it becomes, and it comes out of asking the prospect what it is that they're after, and then finding out what that is. And like Billy's just touched on, it's about, one of the things is being able to picture the dream wedding day. And if you've got content of being at the venue that they're getting married at already, that's absolutely pushes that forward. But when you talk about value, just talk about what it is that they want in the end, by asking questions. I think questions, the more you can listen, the better salesperson you'll be, and the more people that you'll convert. I think listen instead of talking, I think, is a really big one.
yeah, well, on the back of that point as well, then, is if it kind of ties in what you've just said. Like, if you get an inquiry and they are like, okay, have you shot at this wedding venue before? I'd like to see example content, and you haven't shot there. All I always say is, I haven't shot at that venue before, but what type of shots have you seen online that you like? And then what I'll then do is I'll send them specific shots that they're looking for. So like if they talk about, oh, like it's really important that I see me dad's reaction, or I see me husband, the bee's reaction. What I'll then do is I'll go and collate some footage and say, oh, look, this is what I'll capture if I was shooting your wedding. So you just divert the conversation straight away to it's about you taking control of the conversation, and then you get to show them the content that you want. I know we're going on a bit off track here anyway by talking about that, but it's all about that when you, like, to prevent yourself from being ghosted from actual brides that are couples who are getting in touch with you. the first thing you need to have a look at today and now, straight after this live, is what does your process look like? What have you got in place? Do you have automated email sequence? How many times are you following up? Are you posting regularly on social media? Because people automatically assume being ghosted when not replying to emails. But I like to think that when I know that when I'm running my Facebook ads and my Instagram ads, or I'm posting regularly on YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Facebook, they keep seeing content from me. So although they might not be replying to me emails, I'm fairly confident because I'm running ads in the north of England and I'm doing the Thunderdome campaign, which is our method that we use for running ads. It automatically keeps retargeting them and showing them different ads that I've got running live. So I'm confident that they are seeing me content, especially if they've watched a high percentage or they've filled in the form on my website, because I run retargeting ads based on people who visited the website at the moment. So I know that they're seeing me content. So if you're not doing that, you're not helping yourself. So this is why it's important to be running Facebook ads. If you're not spending money, that's fine. I would recommend you do so. But if you're not at the minute, that's fine. That's what we're here to help you to steer you towards Facebook ads. But make sure you're posting regularly. You're following up with text messages. You're ringing them, and that you've got an email sequence. Like Robert said, like what's the timeline for follow-ups? Like I follow up with them almost instantly from when the lead comes through. But I'll also make sure they get an email like at least once a week. But I also know they're seeing that regular content that I'm posting as well.
Yeah. And when it comes to ads as well, I think there's a few different things that you can do. Now you do have to map out the profitability of how much you pay and stuff like that, but there is certain things that you can do in terms of making sure that people see your content, but you don't overpay for these people. So there is things like you could retarget people with a show reel, for example, but with certain campaign types, you can set reach and frequency caps. So you can set a campaign that basically says, I only want to show these ads to people that have engaged with my page in the last X amount of days. I only want to make sure that they see it twice a week or 3 times a week or whatever it might be, to make sure that you're not just not only spamming them so that you get too much if you haven't got a diversity of content, but also so that you're not continuously paying to get in front of the same person, because obviously that's going to drive your individual lead price up, and so on and so forth.
A question from Robert. It's a good question, actually. So, if you reply to an initial inquiry and get ghosted, and then you message again to check they got the last email, etc., and you don't hear back, should you message again? How do you draw the line between being keen and proactive and desperate for work? Well, I don't actually. My sequence isn't how you've kind of described it there, and I'll just explain how, Robert. So, basically, right, I don't send if I send the initial inquiry saying I'm available on your date, like when you're available for a call, whatever, blah blah blah, and then I don't get a reply from that. My second email isn't. I don't say I'm just following up to see if you receive me first email. That's not what I do. I think the second email that they get sent is an email sending them to a blog, like 6 reasons why you need a video or why you should have a videographer at your wedding. So something along those lines is the title. Then a week later, they get sent another email, which is I think it might be to a review, and then the week later, they get sent another email pushing them to some video content. But it's all benefit driven. I'm never talking about me. I'm never asking them if they received any of me emails. I can see if they received me emails because me CRM checks if it's been read or not. I don't know how accurate it is these days with all of the privacy policies and things that are going on. But I never actually say to them, I'm just following up to see if you got me email, because I know that they probably have received it and they're blanking us. So I'm just trying to provide value to them.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's value, providing value, building a relationship, building trust. I think that's probably that's the main thing is trust, because when you think about it, this is the biggest for a lot of them. This is the biggest day of their lives, and the need to be able to trust that you're going to deliver on exactly what they want. So it's about building that trust, and you do that by giving without expectation in return.
Inside of the big videography group, the UK wedding videographers, the thread that was started, I was reading yesterday, was about the SMS that I mentioned at the start of this call. I think was a really good. Like, some people put examples of what they do, and I actually think it's like, I think it's a really good way people do it. So what they'll do is they'll send in the initial email, and then what will happen is they'll send an SMS straight away at this, just straight after, saying, just to let you know, I've sent you an email just in case it goes in your spam. And you're not asking for anything there. You just give them a notification, because sometimes emails do actually go into spam. So I
Yeah.
would recommend sending that sending up a follow message straight away.
Yeah.
So Robert is just saying there. So the next part is, that sounds like you are spamming them. Absolutely not. No, Robert. So basically, the way you need to look at this is, they've filled in a form on my website. They've handed over the name, they've handed over the date of the wedding, when they're getting married, the venue, they've given us the email address, they've given us the phone number, they've given us information about the actual wedding. They want to hear from you. They want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And that's why you've got total permission. And I would never class this as spamming at all, because I'm not actually trying to sell them any of me. Yes, I am obviously trying to sell them my services.
Eventually, though.
Eventually, but I'm in these emails. I'm not trying to sell them anything at all. I'm just providing value. So, like I'm going to start including some of me. I haven't done this yet, but I'm about to start including some of my vertical edits that I send them. So, like the look on my dad's face, like, just painting that picture to them. And it's not value. It's not spamming. It's building up rapport and relationship and trust with them. They've given you permission to contact them. So I would never be worried about thinking, oh, are you spamming them too much? Honestly, I've emailed and contacted people, a lot of people, over 10 times. And then they're the ones, when they finally get back to me, who apologize to me for not replying. So you've got two outcomes here, right? They either get in touch with you eventually because they want to, or you never hear from them again, and then you don't get the win. But what are you losing there? Nothing.
Also, I think it's really, and you'll know this off the top of your head more than me. I believe that it is 80% of sales inquiries buy after something like between the 8th and 12th touch point.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact. We're talking about this on one of the lives in the business group that we'd done before. That wasn't for wedding videographers. It was in photographers. It was just generic businesses, because we do this in another business group as well. And I can't remember the exact number, but it is something like that people buy on something like it is something like the 8th to 12th touch point. So if you're sending out like one email a week, it might take 8 to 12 weeks. And just off the top of my head, thinking about it, sometimes it can take like 8 weeks to get a reply from someone. So like, this is why people, and like Robert, I think you might be a little bit apprehensive about thinking, oh gosh, am I spamming people, and am I going to be annoying them? And like, to an extent, I think if I go back a few years ago, I used to think like that, until I really understood the process and how people are busy, and they are busy. And sometimes people get like 400 emails a day to the inbox, and they get lost in all of the noise. So I wouldn't be worried about spamming them. Are you trying to see if you can find that figure?
Yeah.
I thought you were. I'll just go on to the next question when you're looking at that. Damien, how you doing, mate? Actually, I was watching Damien's live the other day when he was at a wedding. Kept us entertained on I think it was a Saturday night. Hey guys, do you mention pricing or packages in the first email response, or are you trying to get them on the call? So my first email that gets sent out, right? Because everyone always asks on pricing. Like, I can't think of a time that someone hasn't said to us in one of their first responses, like, what's your pricing and what's your packages. So in my automated response that's sent to them, it has a link to the website on the packages page, and that's the only time in the whole sequence that I do that. I have actually been thinking about removing it and just going to the pure value, rapport, relationship building. But the reason I added it is because after the first email, their first email back to me was always, "Hey, you got a link to your prices or packages?" Almost 9 times out of 10. But I don't know what your thought is on that, Jamie, because I have been thinking about maybe taking that out of the process completely. But it is a first question people ask.
Yeah, I would be much more inclined and again, it's not just from a general, and I don't mean general in a negative sense, but from a business perspective, I'd be more inclined to focus on value. I think your price is going to be a qualifier for the lead. The last thing you want to do is have a full conversation and then spend 4 weeks talking to somebody and then find out that that you're just completely out of the price range. So it is. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think those that remove their price from the website have either tried to get as much as they can out of the customer, which a lot of times isn't a bad thing. They're trying to they're just trying to sell it for as high a price as they can, but also they're willing to negotiate, which means they're not confident on converting prospects, which means they're not communicating the value clear enough. I think that if you can communicate your value clear enough, it doesn't, obviously to a certain extent, it does matter your price, but there is an extent where your price won't matter, because if you are, go back to the example that you were talking about earlier, Billy, if I was selling £1 million mansion for 10 grand, people that don't have 10 grand would find 10 grand instantly. They would absolutely,
Yeah.
they'd borrow, they'd instantly they'd get a bit of paper and figure out, right, which 10 people can I borrow £1,000 off each? Like, do you know what I mean? Like they would find a way, they would absolutely find a way, because price is what you pay, value is what you get. So once you communicate that value, that is the focus, that is the absolute focus. And I think even when I was talking, so one of the things I was going to say earlier is I know of a lot of people, not necessarily in the wedding industry, but let's say you've got 3 packages. Let's say that you only want to provide package C. You've got A, B, and C. Some people would price up package B, but they actually want to sell package C for that price. So let's say you do £2,500 is your middle price, but you've got which is your package B is £2,500. You want to sell, you've got package C for £5,000. Again, I'm just making these numbers up. But you actually want to sell package C for 2.5. So a tactic would be, when you're talking to people, you'd say, if you secure your booking and send your deposit within the next X amount of days, or even an hour, as some people do, if you send it today, then I will give you package C for the price of package B. That's a tactic that a lot of people do in different niches, different businesses. So there's a number of different ways to go around it. But I think if you would be much better off if you just focused on practicing communicating the value, because that is going to come through everything that you do, your content, your ads, everything.
And value is a really good one. I reckon we should probably do a live on this, Jamie, actually, like just specifically talking about value and how you can, like, how we can structure it better. But this is why when I've been getting involved in conversations in our groups, in a different group, in other groups, I've been pushing, like, to get people on your packages, right? To say that you do social media shareable content or social media content for them, because you need this content anyway, right? For your own marketing material. If you want to stay current and if you want to stay up to date with people, what's going on, you must start making vertical content. So why not use it to your advantage? Add it in your packages now, and you can add it in all packages if you want. I've actually got it in my highest package, right? But when I'm on the phone to people, I'll have it as an add-on. But even sometimes, depending how the call's going, I might say, "Oh, I'll give you my social media shareable package." If you, like Jamie said, like if you book like today, and
that there is a really good, just before we move on, that is a really good tactic. And this comes to, because a lot of people will reduce their price to try and
yes,
secure a lead.
don't do that.
Divergent thinking, don't do that. Add bonuses so that you don't lose money. So you're not discounting and you don't actually lose profitability. So if you want a discount by £200, you would save a lot more money if you just add in these social media clips that you're going to price, you're going to show the value that you would sell it for separately as, £500. It actually costs you in your time. It just costs you whatever you want to build your time as. Because how long would it take to clip them up? Do you think, Billy?
Honestly, it can take seconds, like, because I've already got them added, I've already got them edited, right, in a 16:9 format for the main because the best clips are going in their wedding highlights video, the 7 to 8 minute video. So all I'm doing is, right, I'm chopping up not mainly that highlights reel that I've made and just going to 9:16 and centering it. So, like, let's say, like, you can probably chop them up in 5 to 6 minutes, 10 minutes max if you're doing like a clean edit and you want it longer extended from the one that you've already edited. Not long at all, though, is by the time you add music and you do the clips. And then what I'm doing now is I always do 3 variations, like we talked about in the Thunderdome method for me ads. So what I mean by that, if you're not sure, is when I'm doing 3 variations is if I'm doing the dad reveal vertical clip, for example, I'm starting the first 3 seconds with the dad. I'm making another edit with the first 3 seconds of the bride, and then I'm making a third edit where it's got the first 3 seconds of them both together, and the rest of the video is the same. That might take 10 minutes or so to actually chop up. But like Jamie said, though, like I'd never reduce my price. What I'm doing is I'm adding. If I'm on the phone, I'll say, if you book now, what I can do is I'll give you this social media shareable package for free. And I've actually upped the price. I have this as an add-on for me other packages. It's included in my top package, but it's not in my bottom packages. But it allows me to get more money if I sell it as an add-on, and I'm going to up it to £400. And the reason I'm upping it to £400 is because there's only like a £600 gap between me middle and top package. So that either I get the add-on, I'll say, oh, well, I might as well have that top package then for that case. Or if I know the budget is like 1900, which is my middle one, I'll say, I'll tell you what, if you book within the next like day or book now, I'll give you the social media shareable package for free. And then but what they don't know is I'm doing that editing regardless. So regardless if they pay for it or get in my package, what I'm selling them, I'm editing anyway for me Instagram, me YouTube Shorts, for me Facebook ads. I'm going to make that for me own content, and everyone should be doing this as well. So it's an absolute no-brainer. It's like, this is why I'm so pleased the way vertical content's kicking off, because as content creators, which we all are, and I know that's a hate word in this industry at the minute, you need to become a content creator for yourself.
Absolutely, 100%. I know. So I think it's been a while since we've asked this question. And I know we've got a lot of new people inside the group, and a lot of them are watching this live. So because I'm not in the industry, this is like I'm looking from the outside in. I've always thought that it would be no harm. And so I think last time I said this, somebody said that some people do it. I would just have a package that is, $7.5 grand, and I would make it so that you hire out a small like theater or cinema and it's the video reveal, and you just present that to them, because it's going to do 2 things. It's going to price anchor your other services, so it's going to be much more expensive, so it makes all the other services look like a really good deal. And B, if somebody buys it, amazing. Like if somebody ends up buying it, the margin that you've got is incredible. I don't see the harm in doing it. But I'd love
Jimmy's
to get.
been trying to get me. He's been trying to get me to do this for ages.
I don't see a setback in it whatsoever. I see nothing positives, and I could be wrong. That's why I'm asking.
Any of the new people who's on, by the way, obviously I'm aware. Me and Jamie have got a social media marketing company, Black Tip Social, but I'm a wedding videographer, so I always look at this from a wedding perspective, and Jamie always critiques it from just a business perspective. So that's why we have like a good conversations, and we get 2 different insights on here. But no, I do see your point though. I do. Jonathan was just saying, anyone else's stream glitching, or is it just mine? Jamie's did glitch a little bit, only for a second or 2 for me. I hope that wasn't for everyone, but he did come back and say that it was all good now. So I think we are back online. So Damien is saying, so my prices are on the website, but I still get asked sometimes. Damien, I still get asked all of the time, even if they've filled in the contact form on my website. And I know they've probably even looked at me packages, because who wouldn't? I still get asked all of the time about packages. I think it's an icebreaker for them.
Do you know what? Yeah. Do you know what? And you know what drives me insane? So when we run ads for customers, and there'll be like lead magnets. So there'll be like, you'll have the ad will be linking to, and the button will say learn more. And you get about 50 people commenting saying interested. If you're interested, click the button. It says learn more.
Yeah, it's mental. So what you're saying here is right, is like this will just happen to everyone, and I don't even know how you can eradicate it. So my prices are on the website. I still get asked sometimes. I get asked all of the time. I normally reply with, I'm available on your date and would love to film your wedding at blah blah blah, and give them all of the info and pricing on my packages. My thoughts are they having anything in that one. My thoughts are they having anything in that one email response. I'm not sure what you mean, mate, on that bit, on that last bit. Can you just clarify that bottom bit, unless I'm reading it wrong, Damien? If you could clarify that. But yeah, I mean, just to touch on your point though, like I always get asked what my prices, what my packages are, even when they're filled in the form on my website. I think it's a problem that's never going to go away. I think for them, it's a question just so they can start up a conversation. I would much rather be getting asked me prices, even if it's on my website, than be ghosted. So you kind of they're opening up the conversation. So it's a little
He's saying
annoyance.
Damien's just saying that you meant everything instead of anything in that last sentence. So my
All right,
thoughts
so
are
I thought,
they have everything in that
yeah.
one email response. That's a it seems obvious, Damien, but it also it's just like trying to connect and fire up their brain, like connect with the different thoughts of pattern and train the thoughts and stuff like that. So like you could explain something to someone one way and explain it to them different way, and all of a sudden the light bulb will go off, and they might
Mhm.
just want a little bit more information because they might want they just need the straw that breaks the camel's back in the positive sense. You just need that final thing to be like to get over their objection. So when you're saying that you normally reply with, you're available on the date, you would love to film their wedding. When you think about that from their point of view, they're just thinking of it. Yeah, obviously this person wants my money and they want to do that. How much deeper can you go into the information? Like, can you talk about where they are getting married? Find out what it is that they want and go deeper on that one thing. Is the point I'm trying to get to.
And just on that bottom bit there, is that you're thinking like, oh, they've got everything they need in the email, so I don't need to give them anything else. This ties in perfectly with like the topic of this live about preventing being ghosted. So don't just think, oh, they've got me packages, they've got me prices, I'll just wait for them to come back, because that's the way that you will get ghosted. Because like I said at the beginning of this live, are you actually being ghosted, or are you just not following up properly? Because
Yeah.
remember, it's up to you to get in touch with them if you want that sale. I don't rely on them. You've got to be in their mind, and it's your job to do that. So that's why it
Mhm.
goes back, Damien, to like the having the email sequences where you're following up every week, regular social media content. Ads is by far the best because you know that
Yeah.
you're paying to reach people. So ads is
Mhm.
where everyone eventually definitely wants to be, for sure. So don't just think they've got all the information. Think I've given the information, but now I'm going to keep myself in their mind.
Yeah.
So what's your Insta package, Billy? It's not necessarily an Instagram package. It's like I call it a social media shareable package. But based on all the posts I'm seeing on social media, I think I'm going to change it to content creator package, because everyone's keep putting screenshots online from brides asking, are you a content creator? So I was thinking, I haven't spoken to you about this yet, Jamie, but I was thinking about changing it from social media shareable to calling it the content creator package, and include it like in one of my packages, because that's the language that they're actually using when they're
Yeah.
inquiring, and then that'll stamp out them wanting to get another content creator use on the mobile phone, because I can explain how I can do it. But to answer
I
your
like that.
question, go for it.
I was just going to say, I kind of like the. I was going to say this on the last comment as well. I like the. I think shareable is right, but it's not right because you got to
Mm-hmm.
think about what and this comes from. We've talked about this before, but what it is that you're really providing, and what it is that the bride or the groom or the groom really want. Like they don't just want a fairy tale wedding. They want to post about it and have everyone that they're friends with comment and say how amazing it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want. You know what I mean? Like that's what they don't. Um, they might have a little bit of a vision of what they want the video to look like in a sense, but what they really want is they want the comments, they want the compliments about how everything looks and all of that kind of stuff. So if you can frame the language around, I definitely like the content side of it. Using the language that they are using is absolutely
Mm-hmm.
the number one way to go. But I think also if you can bridge it to what they actually want in the end,
Yeah.
you call it something like viral. Do you know what I mean? Like something that they're gonna want. They want people to see it and compliment it. So if you can bridge it to that as well, then that's absolutely be good.
Once Jamie's renamed mine, I'll let you know what we'll go with. But to follow on to the question though about what is the Insta package, what I always say as well that I'll when I'm talking to them like on the phone about it or Zoom, I prefer Zoom. But anyway, when I'm speaking to them, is I'll tell them that they're going to get like 10 vertical videos that they can use on the story, on the reels and stuff. But what happens when I deliver it, I normally deliver 15 to 20 because I need them for my own marketing anyway. And then I'm over providing for them. So in their mind, they were getting 10 edits when in fact I might give them 15. So I've like given them 50% more, sometimes 100% more. And then that's me providing more value. And then they're happy, which then when you get a review off them, happy days that they're going to give you a positive review. Damien is just saying, yeah, definitely add something for free instead of discount. Yeah, never ever discount if you can build up the value. I'll give you an example. Someone I was speaking to the other day told me they didn't want any morning prep. And one of my packages says I'll record an hour and a half before the ceremony. And they asked if I could, basically they asked if I could discount the package because there was an hour and a half off the beginning. And what I said to them was, I'll just add the hour and a half onto the end and catch more of the evening. Refused to drop the package. So, and if they haven't, I haven't actually heard back from them since then. But if I do, it'll be more of adding something in like the social media than discounting, because I always try and avoid discounting where possible. I've done it before. I'm not going to say I've never discounted. I have. But like, there's been times where you like want the wedding, and I'm like, all right. But I'm at the stage now where I'll almost certainly never discount. So question, I'm just going to check who this one's from. I think it's from Anika. Do you get the vertical content directly from the footage you've shot that day, or do you do it on your phone at points out? Not always from the footage that I shoot on the day. I never pull my phone out of a wedding, like to take any content ever. So basically what I do is 16:9, the way you're looking at this now, actually, if you're on a phone, it might not look like 16:9, but if you 16:9, how I would deliver the video is how I shoot always at a wedding. And then obviously I'm just framing that in a way. So I'll shoot in 4K and I'm still exporting the video in 1080p because it gives us that 4x crop in if I ever want to zoom in. I'll always frame myself. I always prioritize the wedding video, but I've always got in my mind framing for social media. So I might just go a little bit wider than I usually would because I know I can punch in, I can zoom in without losing any quality at all. Make sure it's center framed. And imagine if you're on 16:9, the middle is going to be your vertical copy, your vertical edit. So as long as you've got a good center, it can always work. Even if it's off to the side, you can cut it and move it along and center it yourself, as long as you've given yourself enough space to zoom in. So to answer your question, I always take it from the footage that I've shot on the day. I never shoot actual specific content. I mean, I have actually used my phone, I think, once or twice at a wedding when the bride and groom wanted to get on a zip line. They had a zip line at the wedding venue and they wanted to jump on it. And the second shooter had his... what's it called? Not the gimbal. How I forgot the name of this? What's the other thing that you balance? I forgot the name of it. Not the gimbal, the one that's much harder to use. See, my mind's gone because I'm live. Anyway, his version, the old school gimbal he was using, and so what I'd done is I whipped out my phone because he was getting the shot and only one of us could really be in it. So I'd done that on my phone, but very rare would I would never shoot content on my phone specifically. I get it from that. Next question, Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. How quickly do you get your content package out? I'm thinking if I can get it there within a few days to avoid crap phone content being used by couples. Yeah, this is a good point. How quick do you get it out? Another thing that I like to add on is if I'm like talking to them about the social media like package or the content creator package, I'll say to them, what I'll do is I've actually got an automated email that's sent out the day after the wedding saying, would you like a free 60-second teaser, which I'll upload to social media to give you a little preview of your wedding. And then I try and upload that within 7. Well, I do upload it within 7 days if they want to go ahead with it. So try and get out as quick as possible. That's what I would do. But the full thing, I deliver it all as one. So I know there's people who I've seen in the groups, they'll give they might give the highlights reel within 14 days, then they'll get the rest of the content within 6 weeks. I like to deliver the whole thing in one go. So I'm not giving it to them in drips and drabs. The only thing I do give them early is some vertical content, is snippets or like a 60-second teaser. So that's the only thing I do early, Jonathan. Next question.
I think just before you go on to that next question, I think it's a really a quick important point that the quicker you can get somebody to experience value as well is really good. So like when we talk about I think we've talked about the value equation inside this group before, but if not, basically the way to provide value to a customer is the biggest companies in the world focus on speed, because speed is better than free in most cases. Amazon Prime, for example, perfect example. But also and the speed is an important point, and that's why I'm bringing it up. So we're not talking about anything else in the value equation, but the speed, the faster you can get somebody to experience value, especially for what they've paid for, then it's going to be like it's going to be a stopgap in being able to, you don't have to rush the rest of it as much. It's a little bit like divergent thinking of how to stop people from asking or waiting or complaining or whatever it might be. There's a couple of good examples of, one of the things that people don't like about, or didn't like about, train stations when they first were around, is that the things took too long, like trains took too long, but they couldn't increase the speed. So what they did was just put on the timer, so it reduces the feeling of speed, it reduces that the continue watching the clock go down. Another thing is like elevators, if they're going up to the 14th, 15th floor in like New York and stuff like that, you just they put massive mirrors in to distract people from the time that they're experiencing. But the faster you can get people to experience value. So, and again, this is from outside the industry looking in. I would be looking, if your final deliverable is X amount of time away, I would look to give them something before that.
Yeah. And that goes into the next point, yeah, which we've already kind of touched on. When do you edit the vertical videos, that night or the next day? Never either of them. I never do any edits the night of the wedding ever. I don't think I've ever done it the next day either. I might have once. But the vertical edits generally come after I've done the whole highlights thing, unless I'm going to do that teaser for them. Sometimes I might edit within 7 days, like 1 or 2 vertical edits just to share on social media to get them excited. But then the rest of it comes as a full thing. The thing is, hang on, who said this? Who says it's Nick? So Nick said Steadicam. The word I was looking for, right? It wasn't Steadicam. It was the glide cam. I had to Google it because me brain went blank. It was a glide cam that he uses. Which, by the way, if anyone uses a glide cam, I don't know how you do it because they're super heavy and they're really hard. That's why I just 3-axis gimbal all the way for me. I'm not sure who has asked this one. I'm just going to go and double check. I'm not sure it is. I can't find it. Anyway, so it just says, I used to do trailers straight away, but in terms of speed, I find it quicker to edit and grade the highlights, film first, and then it's so much quicker and easier to use a selection of all clips. Yeah, I agree that that's kind of my general workflow, unless I'm getting a couple of little edits out, like say the dad reveal, for example, or like a confetti shot. I might get that out because it's so quick and easy to edit. I might do that within the first 7 days after the wedding. But generally speaking, I agree with this comment totally. I'll do all of the editing and then I'll chop the vertical content up after I've done my main edits of the highlights reel. Because remember, obviously, the highlights reel is going to have 95% plus of the best content from the day. That's the whole point of doing it. So once it's all color graded and already done this, that's the best next step. So just tagging Peter Rush, I think it was Anika again. Yeah, that makes sense. I just thought it might be a bit stressful delivering social content that day next, especially if you have another job on or something. Yeah. I mean, I do know of people in the wedding industry who deliver content, photographers and videographers, the next day. I know a videographer, I'll obviously not name them, but I know a videographer that does the whole 6-minute highlights video the next day, straight away, bang, done. But I know that when I'm watching that video or every video, there's a real clear certain workflow that's happening. They obviously have to do that for speed. Like every shot from every highlight is almost identical in sequence, where I like to have like a bit more of freedom and creativity when doing someone's highlights. Like they might be similar in terms of what's happening, but I'd rather have creativity and give them I don't want to say a better job because I'm not saying theirs is any worse. They've just got a particular workflow that they actually work into. Do we have any other questions? We've been on for 48 minutes. Thanks, guys, for everyone who stuck around for this long. We're always going to be going live on a Wednesday. We're always happy to answer your questions as well. So always get them in the group in the comments. If you're watching this live, obviously ask questions still after or post directly inside of the Facebook group. This will be available anyway for anyone who wants to catch up. If you joined halfway through, this will be live in the Facebook group within about 5 minutes of the live finishing anyway. So you can go back and see any of the questions that you may have missed. Do we have any other questions? Yes, we do. So I'm just going to check who this question's from. It's from David Priest. Hi, David. How are you doing, mate? Thanks for jumping on. So the content creators I seen are delivering the same night or next day, which is the appeal, I think. I mean, that can be an appeal, and if you think that's what people want, obviously you can go ahead and create that. There's no problem doing it. But when I'm speaking to people on the phone or on Zoom, the conversation is, I've never really had it. I don't get asked that often. How quick am I going to get it? They generally just want to know how quick they get in the wedding video. I'm talking about, and I just really build up the value of the vertical content. This, though, what you're saying is, if it is an appeal that people want, like Jamie was saying, for speed, it might be something that I have to look at, where I might say you'll get 5 vertical edits within the first week. It might be something that I end up including. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen this just yet, but that's something that might definitely come into play. And like what David's saying there, I can actually see happening, where people want the speed. They'll want things quickly. I'm just going to check who this is from. So this is from Marcus. Hi, Marcus. How you doing, mate? So my highlights come in 6 to 9 minutes long, which has also come with a 30 to 45-minute full day film. Is this too long for a film? One of my packages also has a 60-minute feature film is what it's called. But generally the difference for me is I always do the 6 to 9 minute highlight video. For me, that's the most important part of the wedding editing for a videographer anyway. Like, that's what people really want to see, is that 6 to 9 minute highlights reel. The 30 to 60 minute like feature film that you do is I find it quite straightforward to edit, because you can just drag like a lot of clips in with audio, like people just chatting and laughing. It doesn't have to be as clean as the actual highlights film, in my opinion. It's about just giving them extra content throughout the day, like part of the speeches within it, and like people laughing and carrying on and having a drink. I don't think it's too long, but some people like that long edit, and they like to watch it. So I think it just goes back to what you want to provide and the value that you're providing. I had one of my packages that got booked for next year is she asked if she could pay for an add-on for the feature film. She wanted the low package. The price I give her was almost the put of the middle one, and that and the value, the price anchoring, and she booked the middle package because she wanted that feature film. So again, you can use these sort of things in your packaging to actually provide value rather than actually discounting. And then Marcus is just saying there, he's just true. Thanks a lot. Yep, no worries at all. Anything from you, Jamie? Anything? I know we've gone off on a bit of a tangent about content, but we are talking about being ghosted. Is anything you kind of want to reel back in with?
I just think, find out what it is they truly want and provide value to that end outcome. So it's easy to think that, they want a wedding video or they want wedding photos. It's like, yes, but why? Like, which particular ones do they want? Like, what it is they're after? I think a lot of people have got very different visions and hopes and ideas for that dream outcome. So figuring out what it is that they want. And also, to your point earlier, I think there's a lot of people are not ghosting you. They're just not at that time frame yet. So what else can you do to help keep them inside the customer pathway towards making a purchase, if that makes sense? And I think that comes down, again, value, letting them know, but putting out content that handles standard objections, like even price. You put content out about price, so you don't discount, but never discount. Remember, don't discount, add bonuses instead. But yeah, so finding out what it is they really want and provide value towards that end goal.
And just to kind of finish off on, and we'll just wrap it up here, but just ask yourself the question, are you actually really being ghosted, or do you not have a proper workflow in place? Because remember, I would never class being ghosted if you've only sent them an initial email. There's a big process in place. So just ask yourself that question. And if you want help with the process, post inside of the Facebook group. That's why Jamie and I are here. It's to help you guys get more bookings for your wedding business. But really appreciate everyone staying on for so long and asking all of the questions. Like I always say, we love answering them and helping you guys out. But we will be live again next Wednesday at 12 o'clock. So we will catch you guys then. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, guys.